Everybody, it's John Levy, and we're back for another great edition of Falcons, the Men of Northeast Catholic. And I got my guest today.
Eric Butter from Port Richmond, class of 1990.
1990. So let me ask you a question, Eric. Why'd you choose North Catholic?
I only had two options. It was Roman or North Catholic.
Yeah.
So I actually, believe it or not, I wanted to go to Mercy Vocational Tech so I could learn a trade. And my mom thought it was a bad idea to take the 60 all the way down, to the end of the line there because of the neighborhood. And she was worried, that it wasn't so safe. So Roman at the time was offering a $500, scholarship to everybody who would go there because I guess they were short students. And I didn't want to go there because my family didn't go there. None of my friends were going there. So ultimately ended up at North. And that's how that all began.
I just want to compliment you, dude. Look, when you got two guys wearing the same shirts, we're on the same page, dude, that speaks volumes, dude. North guys, they think alike, you know what I mean?
Yeah. My wardrobe's all North. Just funny.
So let's go back in time. North Catholic. What was your first day like? Walking through those halls for the very first day of your freshman year.
So walking through those, I came from a very small school. I went to Our Lady Help of Christians on Allegheny Avenue, the middle church with the clock. And it was, I think I graduated with maybe 22 kids in the class, if that. The school alone probably, you figure maybe 100 and some kids in the entire school. So walking in those halls at North Catholic on the first day was a scary thing because I came from such a small 8 years at that school to walking into a school at that time had a couple thousand. So it was very intimidating and I was very scared. Had no idea what the annex was, no clue about anything. But I was late, a few periods there for a couple of days, but I got used to things and it was nice.
Did all of the guys that you graduated with from Our Lady Help, did they all go to North Catholic as well?
The majority of them did. A couple went, I think. So you figure a class of 20 some kids, let's say we'll go 50%. So I don't know, maybe 13, 14 boys and whatever the rest were girls, not even 50%. I think we had more boys than girls. But anyhow, most of the boys did go to North that I can recall. There might have been a mass bomber here and a Mercy Tech there and because we weren't allowed to go to Father Judge or Ryan or any of them back then. You were only limited to your district, I believe. Yeah. And Roman happened to be, I think one of the kids went to Roman in our grade school too. But they were your only options. Now from my understanding, before things closed down, you were allowed to pick where you want to go. If you wanted to go to Ryan or you wanted to go to Father Judge, that option was available. Right. But it wasn't for when we were there.
So, and then plus, as everybody knows, once you get to North Catholic and even if you're there with all 20, 25 of the guys that you've been going to school with since kindergarten, when you get to North or high school in general, you have tracks. So you may not be in class with any of them. You may be in class with some of them,
Yeah. So it was funny you say that because, so like first time we had lunch, the first day, I didn't know anyone except the kids, but I didn't, like you said, you had guys that were first track, second, third, fourth or whatnot. And you're breaking down, like I said, maybe 15 boys. I didn't see them. I didn't see those guys, but we kind of made a pact. I think if we all had let's say fifth period lunch, we were all going to meet and that's going to be so freshman year, I sat with whatever boys who had that, let's say fifth period lunch that first year, just as a comfort thing. You know what I'm saying? But after that, we got comfortable with the school. I rarely saw those guys, unless they were in one of my classes, we all moved on, Yeah.
The good thing about us is we can relate because we were all kind of, not too far away from each other year-wise at North. So again, taking you back to your first day, I know my first year, freshman year, the student body would do, a skit to welcome back to school. And my skit was, I think wrestling was still big at the time and they did a wrestling thing. Did your student body, your senior class, or your freshman year, did they do a skit for you guys or?
Yeah, they did. And unfortunately, I'm drawing a blank, but I do remember your skit though, because I remember the guys that were doing it for when you guys were coming in. But I don't remember what this skit was when we were coming in. I thought it was pretty cool. And I do remember, I just don't remember what the theme was, unfortunately.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question. And everybody, I mean, pretty much all the teachers at North Catholic are phenomenal. But if you had your choice, one teacher that stood out to your mind, or any faculty member that stood out to your mind, who would that be and why?
All right. So Father Howarth was always, I had him for theology. I liked him. He was a straight up guy. And he just seemed like a regular dude, even though he was a priest. And, he seemed like a guy that you could probably hang out with, have a beer, smoke a cigarette, just a regular guy. Or if you had, any issues, you could go to him. And being a priest, you think of a priest being straight and narrow. He had no problem dropping a curse word during class, which, floored me.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, or fortunately, I should say, is with her passing would be Mrs. Faganiak. I had a nice relationship with her in my 4 years. And the reason being because I was one of those clowns in class that I was always sent down to Kosnik's office. So I'd have to sit in that chair next to her until he could call me in the office. So a couple times a week I get thrown down into the office and have to wait, but me and her would have nice conversations, and and it was very nice getting to know her, and and I guess calming my nerves down, because every time I didn't know what I was in store for, if I was going to get suspended. I didn't want to upset my mom, but she always said everything's going to be fine. He's probably just going to throw you a few days detention or whatever. And she wouldn't. I'd go in there and she'd give me pointers on how to approach him and what to say. She would know what mood he in. Yeah. So she was my go-to. I stood to this day, and then I just heard she passed a couple weeks ago, so I was sad to hear that.
So let's roll the question right off of that. You get sent down to Miss Faganiak, and you got to meet the big guy in the doors behind her, Ernie K. Justice under God, Jug, otherwise known as Jug. Was Eric Butter a frequent flyer of Jug?
Yeah. Anybody who ever rolled through Jug, I would say, let me think, went there in 86 and graduated in 90. So those 4 years that anybody ever had detention, I can guarantee you they most likely saw my face. I know they saw my face in there. And it wasn't because I was a bad kid. I was a clown. My problem is that if you were a minute late going to detention, they tacked on 10 days. So if I had 1 day Jug and I was late the next day, they tacked on another 10. And I believe that 1 day that would show up late, I don't even think you were even allowed to serve it out. So now I went from 1 day to 11 days. And I had a hard time getting up. So that became a frequent thing for me, just adding days on to basically all 4 years.
So did you finish all your Jug? Did you finish all your Jug? Do you owe North Catholic any time right now?
I don't. No. I worked them off my senior year. So Mr. Leo Donahue was the moderator. So you could do things as far as working time off. And one of the things was if you brought him a cup of coffee, he would knock off 5-10 days. So for a month, I had so many days that I literally for a month would stop at the 7-Eleven, I think, across the street and get him a coffee, and he would shave off time. And I believe maybe that week after exams, in between, so we graduated before everybody got out of school. There was a week before we actually went to graduation, and I had to wash school buses. Damn. And that cleaned my record.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So,
or I would have been going into I didn't go to college, but I would have been going into my adulthood or whatever you want to call it with time unserved still.
You'd be in trouble, dude.
Yeah.
I heard Ernie's got a list.
Oh yeah. I'm sure I'm on top of that list for the old time for having Jug. But Jug was good because it allowed me to get my homework and stuff done in the morning.
Yeah.
It did. And my mom always thought that's when school started, because literally it was almost every day through the 4 years that I had to be in at 7 a.m, which kind of sucked because then I couldn't get a paper route, because paper route I had it that would run into the whole time for me to get to school. So
yeah. Well, here's another roll-off question to that something I thought of. If you were beside, and it could be Miss Viganiak. So if you were to spend a few hours with the teacher of your choice, and discuss whatever it is that you wanted to talk about, who would that person be?
Huh. It would probably be Mr. Kosnik, because I had a nice little relationship with him through the years as well. You know, I bumped into him years ago, and it was at the car dealership, and right away he knew who I was, and it was, unfortunately, we didn't have much time to catch up and talk. And but I would definitely just like to sit down with him and just pick his brain on because I know he had to have his hands full dealing with how you know the some of the kids in that school were just out of control. To have the patience and have to deal with it, you know, it must take a lot to take that role on as a disciplinarian, you know. And I would pick his brain and ask him, you know, how he dealt with some of the idiots that he did have to deal with, or when he made the decision that where he felt that somebody needed to get suspended. Because fortunately for me, there were times I felt that I should have been suspended, and he never did. I never once got suspended for just acting like an idiot. I was suspended for smoking on the grounds, but outside of that, for disciplinary reasons, you know, for just being a jackass in class, there could have been times where he said, you know what, enough's enough with you, but he didn't, and I appreciate that, you know.
I'm working on getting the interview with Ernie, and I got some good contacts.
Nice.
And just based off of what you said, a few years back, I think it might have been 2014, maybe 2015, I needed a ride down to the event, and Jerry Brindisi and the Orphans got us a ride down, and I had the honor of getting a limo ride with Ernie Kosnik.
Nice.
And a couple some of the teachers that were there, and another gentleman that needed a ride. And let me tell you, for an hour and a half ride down to the shore, the stories that Ernie had to tell us before our time and our time.
Yeah.
You know, honest to God, I didn't know if I was excited or afraid to get in the car with him, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But you know, but that's respect. That's the kind of respect that Ernie had. So let's take you, now you graduated with my brother.
Yeah.
And I remember my freshman year, I used to have to you guys would hit me up and say, go get cheese fries for me. And you guys thought you had your honor. But John Levy wants to let you know, I think I had the ultimate scam on you guys, because not only that, because my mom was a single parent, right? So I didn't get a chance to get that. So in order to get you guys cheese fries, I had to get cheese fries in return.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember.
So I think I got on you guys, man. I think I did good on that.
You did good, because we didn't want to stand in those lines.
So let me ask you a question. So here's your choice. Is it cheese fries or cheese fries with extra cheese?
Cheese fries with extra cheese.
Now, did you ever use the scoop ketchup or the
I never once used the ketchup ever. The shit that I seen and saw what people did to that ketchup.
The scoop stuff, right?
No way. Yeah, it was in that container with the spoon.
Yeah. You had to be pretty damn brave. And let me tell you, for all the guys who did use that scoop ketchup, you were COVID exempt, dude. You're immune.
Oh, there's no question about it. I saw somebody put a mouse in there. I've seen thousands of hawkers spit in that thing.
Yeah. Oh God.
While people were in line. Yeah. So you had to be an idiot if you know, if you thought you were getting a fresh batch. I mean, I'd be the only one. You'd be the first one in line, and I still wouldn't even mess with the ketchup.
Who was your favorite lunch lady?
The lady who, I don't know, I didn't know their names too well, but the lady was such a sweetheart in the donut line. You know, where we had the donuts in the morning that were half cooked.
Yeah.
I forget her name. She was an older lady.
There was a Marie, but Marie was a little bit, I think Marie was, when we were there, she was probably in her 40s. So I think you're talking about one of the older
yeah.
ladies. Yeah.
I'm talking, this lady was probably in her 60s back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was so sweet.
How about this? Yo, Tom, how's Woody?
I love Tom. What was his name? His last name, Tom. It's an Irish name. Yeah, we used to call him Woody. He did a Woody Woodpecker sounds down the hallway.
Yeah.
So good old days.
What was your fondest memory of North Catholic? It could have been your first year. It could have been all 4 years. But what what was your fondest memory? What stood out the most?
My fondest memory was graduation at Holy Family, and my grandfather, class of 1932, got to witness it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was my fondest. I know how proud he was that, and again, all my uncles and everybody in the family were all North boys, but I think there was something special with that he felt with me graduating. And unfortunately, he ended up dying, excuse me, like a year later. So I think he was very happy that he got to see me graduate. And
Now, was he a North guy?
he graduated in 1932, and I am wearing his school ring.
Let me see.
I brought it down for you guys to see, class of 32.
Oh, that is awesome, dude.
So you'll see that you can barely see the stamping.
Yeah, yeah.
And the reason, and this is a real ruby, by the way.
Oh, no shit.
And he paid $10 for it, he told me, and which was a lot of money in 1932. And he did not wear a wedding band. He wore this on his finger from the day he graduated to the day he died. He had this on his left hand. That's why it's all worn down, John. You can't. Yeah. You can barely see. You could see that it's basically the same as what we all have, but you can you can't make out. You can't make out the year or anything because it was literally worn down. You know what I mean? I wanted to bring that.
That's an icon, dude. That's a great treasure right there, man. Congratulations on having that.
Thank you. That was the one thing that I asked my mom after he passed. I said I want Pop's ring. So you and I, when you hit me up, you said if you have anything you want to show to alumni. So here's my grandfather. I found this. Here's my grandfather's. This is his diploma.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yep.
That is awesome.
Yep. That's his diploma. And then we have here his class picture.
So that's an actual North Catholic class picture, huh?
Yep. This is what's in his yearbook, which, by the way, I happen to have.
Dude, he was better looking than you.
Oh, very much. No question about it. He was a stud. Thank you. And going through some of the little treasures here, I have the 1929 yearbook, which you might want to check this out at some point because it's got like North Catholic while it's getting built and like all kinds of crazy stuff. It's a little tattered up, but and you look at it, there were probably about 30 kids in the class of 1929. It's so thin. And then here's his actual yearbook, 1932, and I happen to have his report cards laying around. They're in a keepsake box as well, and they're pretty cool to look at. Some of the stuff.
I appreciate you sharing that with us, dude. That's pretty awesome. As a matter of fact, I got an opportunity. I interviewed a couple guys from the 50s, one from 52, one from 54. The guy from 54, which I'm sure you might have seen the video, guy was pretty much a professional soccer player.
Yeah. I watched it yesterday. Yeah.
That was an amazing interview, dude. Amazing.
Yeah.
And they would tell you, and I'm sure maybe during your grandfather's time, well, I don't know, maybe when the school started, it might not have been as crowded, but a lot of these guys didn't even get to be in the school up until their senior year. They had to go to, a lot of guys would say St. Joachim's, and they had little satellite schools all over the place, It's crazy.
Yeah, I did hear that. I don't know the specifics. I do know, I believe, what is it, 28, 29, 30? I don't know how it all fell in, but I believe, from what I can understand, I thought my grandfather said he was the first 4-year graduate. So if the school opened in 28, 29, 29, 30, it's probably right. I thought he said, I never sat and did the math or anything like that, but I believe he was the first class to go all 4 years. So, but I did hear stories where they did have satellite classes at different parishes, So, but I know it made him proud. And the funny thing is, his spirit up to the day he died, he was, he still had that brotherhood that like you and I and most of these guys that are on your website have. He still paid his dues, the alumni dues. He bought the chances, to come out, the 10 chances or whatever. He would buy them, and he was an alumni to the day he died. So, and that's what's great about this brotherhood that we have, and hopefully this never does stop. And it's great what the Norphans are doing. And all the people that help out, that are along, that go along with that ride. If
somebody, or maybe you have kids?
I do. I have a son. I have a son and a daughter. They're both graduated, and my son's out of college now. My daughter's going to be graduating college this year. So yeah.
How do you think North Catholic prepared you for your adulthood?
So I think North uh, gave me the courage and I guess the strength to face the real world because I didn't go on to college. I went right into the real world right out of senior year. So which could be scary, you don't have that extra 4 years to play around, in school and maybe 4 years just extra preparedness. So when I got out, I dicked around a little bit, not knowing what I wanted to do, and ultimately I ended up at the Philadelphia Stock Exchange, and and it was a North guy that got me in the North. It was a North Catholic alumnus who got me into the stock exchange, and I've been there ever since, over 30 years.
So I don't know if this question has been asked by your kids or maybe in time when your grandkids come and, I'm sure the Norphins event will still be around. If someone's to say to you, hey, Pop, or hey, Eric, what was it like to be a North Catholic Falcon? How would you explain it to them?
People ask me it now, because even my friends, I live over in Jersey now. So a lot of people don't understand the whole North Catholic thing. They know of North because their father-in-law went there, and they kind of get the brotherhood thing because they've seen it through their own, in-law thing. It's a brotherhood. I guess it's something that from what I can gather, if I have to make a comparison, and I wasn't a Marine or I wasn't in the service, but I see the brotherhood with the Marines from an outside, and I'm assuming that that's how people see us on the outside. Like, what is this connection? And unless you're in that connection, it's hard to explain. We get it, but I don't know if I can actually explain except the word brotherhood, and for somebody to actually understand it, unless they actually did graduate from North and actually walked our walk.
I mean, think about this. You got guys now. Well, I think maybe some of the oldest guys would be the class of the 50s. I'm assuming I haven't heard anything from anybody from the 40s that I get a chance to interview. But here's a guys from way back when with a school that's no longer around. And these guys still wearing their colors proud, showing up to a reunion. I mean, what school that we know of that's been closed for 10 years and still shows up with the amount of alumni and people that never went to the school? Dude, till this day, from what I understand, North Catholic has the largest reunion on the island in all years.
Yeah,
and all schools.
It's true. No, I've heard that myself. I've heard it myself just through the years about how, and you see it when you're down there. You see how we literally take over the island. You see the flags. You see me take over the streets down there by Keenan's. It's something that nobody will understand unless they're one of us. And that's where I'm at. And the crazy thing is we moved over here to Cherry Hill for the school districts. My son was starting kindergarten. And at the time when we moved, you didn't have the option to go like you could to any school you basically wanted. So we move over here and I had, okay, well, my kids are going to go to Cherry Hill schools, Cherry Hill East this, you hear about how good of a school it is and all. Then I see this billboard, like after a year living here, that North Catholic was taking students from over here, and they were coordinating buses to pick your boy up at a central location, and they would take them to North. So in the back of my mind, that was going to be a plan. I was going to send my son to North Catholic from over here and figure out how this whole this carpool thing was going to work out. But North ended up closing, and my son never even made it into high school by that time. But yeah, I wanted him to be able to get the experience that you and I and everybody who watches this will get. You know what I mean? But yeah, they closed up, and he just ended up finishing up all his school, all his schooling over here.
Well, if you remember correctly, and I don't know if it was even earlier than this, I remember my freshman, even possibly my sophomore year, which you guys would have still been there, already having talk of the school closing down or even merging with Little Flower.
Yeah.
And, I guess when it closed, we were still upset and angry about it, but we were kind of aware and I guess knew that it was going to happen, although, we did get a chance to fight it. But yeah, Christ, 1989, 1990, and all through that. So we kind of knew. I mean, I guess it was going to be evident, but there were still a lot of kids in there.
I never thought North was actually going to close. I was just waiting for Little Flower and North to merge. I thought that was going to definitely happen 100%. And but to find out that they straight up closed it, I was like literally in shock. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. What, you know? And then the whole thing was sad. I mean, you know, there were the alumni and the North and everybody just came together, and then there was donations, and the Archdiocese really pulled a fast one on us, unfortunately. And you never know what the future holds. I mean, there's a lot of successful guys that graduated from North who you never know down the road. You don't know how this charter school is going to end up, you know. And you know, you just pray. You hope that somewhere down the road that, you know, something, I'm not saying something bad happens with this charter, but an opportunity will arise that maybe something can happen again. Maybe the neighborhood could turn around, and you see how things are changing in Philly. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I would love to see something like that happen. But it's nice to be able to all of us get together every summer down in Wildwood. It's very nice.
So what do you think it was like this year not having an orphans reunion?
It was weird. I actually, who your brother can tell you, because I go in with him. We get a bunch of rooms there at the Blue Marlin, and then because of Franny, and we ended up as a group we canceled. But I ended up actually going down that weekend with another North guy, just for the shits and giggles, just to go down, assuming that there was going to be a lot of North guys still down there at Keenan's. And no, man, it was quiet. It was weird. It was a ghost town. I thought I'd see some North stragglers, but there weren't many. There was a handful. They straight up stayed home and played it safe, I guess, you know?
So with that happening this past year, how much forward are you looking forward to this year, and hoping that we can kick it off?
Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. I haven't seen my North, you know, that little gang that we have there that we hang out with, your brother being one of them. I haven't seen them. We talk every day on Facebook or on our text chain that we have going, but to actually see these guys, I miss them, and I miss everybody. I just miss that whole camaraderie that goes on down there, and I'm so looking forward to it. And I hope this nasty thing goes away soon, and everybody who wants to get vaccinated gets it. And by the time it rolls around in July, you know, we're going to be down there just partying harder than ever, you know?
When you go to the Norphans event, or you're just hanging out, well, let's just leave it at the Norphans event. Do you go there as Eric Butter, the 49 years old?
Yeah, 48.
Gentleman? Or do you go there and are you ultimately that kid in high school again?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. There's like, you go as the 48-year-old, but after drinking and seeing and, you know, reminiscing, you do slowly before we're all singing the Alma Mater. I think we're all back in our teenage years of when we walk those halls. You know, you start out like, you know, all being grown up, but by the end of the day, you know, after the 4 or 5 hours is up, it's like, you know, we were hanging on the corner, you know, drinking Mad Dog 2020 or something. You know, it's great.
So how fast did Eric Butter get his? Because I showed him on one of my videos. Everybody was able to work that combination lock with one hand because you had to get to, I guess, 4 minutes class. How fast were you able to get that lock open?
All right, so here you go. And actually, I didn't even see that part of any of your videos. Or I don't
stuff on.
Yeah, I watched your videos. I don't remember that part with the locker. So I never locked my locker.
Oh.
I was the guy who had it resting like it was locked, closed. So when I got to my locker, I just had to take my books out and then call it a day.
I guess you were sick of getting jugged.
Yeah, well, I was, and that was when I'd be late and whatnot. But there were guys who caught on to it though, and I'd go back to my locker and they'd hang on the top and slam it so I couldn't open it. Yeah. Or I'd find all the suit coats down the hallway, you know. So when that would happen, I would do the 2 combos and then basically leave that last number with 1 click. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But majority of the 4 years, it was never locked. It was just closed to where kind of looked like it was locked, but you could still see that it wasn't. But yeah.
So were you one of the guys who used to kick the books out of people's hands?
No,
Or were you one of the guys that got the books kicked out of your hands?
no, I was the guy.
And let me ask one other thing before you answer that.
Okay.
And if you did get your book kicked out of your hand, tell everybody legitimately how far those books ended up down the hallway.
Man, I think it was my freshman year. I had a trapper keeper, and I bust one of my buddies' balls about me doing it to him, even though I never did it to him, but because it happened to me. I had a trapper keeper, and it was like literally the first or second day at North, and somebody knocked it out. And man, he had to be the kicker for us because that thing went from one end of the hall. And not only did it go from one end of the hall, every piece of paper from every folder that was in that trapper keeper opened up, you know. But I was the guy who helped pick everybody's stuff up who it happened to.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. I helped. I would be late for class because I would help the kid gather all his shit, because once the stuff was on the floor, they would just keep on kicking it. Yeah, they would end up kicking it, you know. So yeah. So maybe. Go ahead, buddy.
Were you ever did dances and proms? Did you ever go to Pulsations? Remember, North did a stint at Pulsations, man.
Loved it.
And that was a good time.
It was such a good time. Little Flower got to go with us. It was so much fun. We meet up right there at North on the Yellowbirds, and God, it was so much fun. It was such a good time. We only did like 2 years. I think it was like my sophomore and junior year, I think, and then I don't know what happened after that, or I only went 2 times. But yeah, the Pulsations was fun. Yeah, I went to the North dances. They were like Friday nights once a month or whatever. They were fun, and it was basically just like, you know, it's like just a hangout type thing. But Pulsations was cool, man. You know, with the Z Cavaricis and the turtlenecks, you know, that was big in the 80s and all, and, you know, getting all dressed up. It was fun. But
the girls went there to go to dance, and we were just there to hook up.
No, absolutely. Yeah, there was no question about it. That was nice. It was like, because that was your only, like, outside of your neighborhood or hanging up at one of, like, Roosevelt Mall. You went to the North dances or Pulsations once a year if you wanted to, you know, try to hook up, I guess, with girls outside the neighborhood. You know, that was it. So yeah, they're very memorable times. So much fun. We had so much.
Did you? Let's see. I guess when you were old enough to drive, did you take a car to school or did you take the bus?
No, I took the bus. So I didn't even play sports. I worked all through high school. I paid my way through North, which is another reason why I hold on to this education that we got, you know, because I appreciate it different because I paid for this education out of my own pocket. You know, we didn't have money. So we didn't even have a car, to answer your question. So I basically rocked my bicycle on nice days from, you know, Agate and Allegheny in front of Northeast Hospital, you know, just, you know, booked it up there. And then from there, I would bike it over to McDonald's. I worked at McDonald's all through for the first 3 years of North. And then Father Sullivan got me a job my senior year with a couple other North guys working for the government, which was nice, you know. And but the same deal, I would take the bus from North to the government up there at Oxford and Robbins, to the Navy Depot. But yeah, your brother had your mom's car. He would drive me home sometimes when I didn't have to work.
1976 Ford Elite.
Yep, I remember that car. Yep.
Do you know that car was given to my mom by her godfather / uncle, and it was owned by a famous pool player, Steve Miserak.
I'm not familiar. I don't follow pool.
Yeah, me neither. But that's the story that was told to me. Steve Miserak was a famous pool player, and my Uncle Stanley and him were very good friends. And that's nice. Yep. So
that car was nice. I like that car.
Yeah, it was. Oh my God. So we'll finish up here, and what would you have to say to all the brothers out there with all this COVID going on, and you know, what do you have to say to everybody?
I just want to say I hope everybody stays safe, and I can't wait to see you guys, you know, this summer, hopefully, when things are safer. And you know, God bless you all.
Yeah, Eric, I want to thank you for taking the time out on Sunday, and looking forward to, you know, seeing you all guys soon, man.
Same here, buddy. You take care.
All right, take care, brother.
Talk to you later.